I had it on already with all the stuff you were talking about.
Well, I'll put that link. I thought you would be interested in that. I'll get you that video sometime. He goes into a lot of stuff, but he's basically focused on exactly what you're seeing.
Well,
from the FBI point of view.
Okay, I've got some new stuff. Okay.
Good.
We're on target. Basically, we've been down most of the roads already in the process. Okay. From the UCC 1s, UCC 3s, and everything, but nobody had the eyes to see what was really being said on those UCCs. That was the problem. Okay. None of the UCCs were properly filled out, period. And I can prove it to you, okay? Most of them, some of them we did have lease E and lease or marked, but we were sending them to the wrong party, or we had the wrong party addressed in the process. The principal leasee is the Secretary of the Interior as the alien property custodian. Now, those documents that I had up there for going to the courts, I used alien in the wrong terminology. And nobody caught it in going out there and checking me out. I used it in the noun, alien as a noun. It should have been alien as a verb. Alien as a verb means alienated. That's part of the problem, is that basically I'm trying to do some of this stuff, and basically I'm calling on you people to double check me. You say you're doing it, but basically you're not doing a good job. Now, we know that basically the U.S. Trustee is basically the Office of Alien Property, alienated property. And he is a U.S. leasee's justice agent. The U.S. leasee is the Office of the Secretary of Interior as the alienated property custodian. Our assets are held in directory trust, not discretionary trust, but directory trust. This government is a corporation, the state and the federal. They're both corporations, and they're corporations for profit. And you can prove that by just going to the U.S. Constitution, and you will find in there in 3 places. When you see things that appear in 3s, you know that's a key item. Article 1, Section 3. Article 1, Section 9. Article 2, Section 1. Office of Honor, Trust, and Profit. Well, basically, if they have offices of profit, which all the employees are offices of profit because they're getting a salary. In some cases, the offices of trust are getting a compensation. The offices of honor even get a compensation in some regards. Those are all offices of profit then. because the corporation has to make a profit to make a payment to them. And we know that they're making a profit because they're writing bonds for the usage of our assets, of our patented estates, however you want to look at it. Our vehicles, everything that we've basically assigned over to them. So on the UCC 1, it should have been a leasee or lessee / lessor marked down in the appropriate block down there where Baylor is. That you mark lessee, lessor. The Secretary of the Interior would be as the alienated property custodian, would be in the debtor's block. Your nominal person is the lessor in the secured party block. And then you would identify the leasing process that basically you have in place with your certificate of live birth, or if you have a military DD-214, your military account, leased assets. You don't need to do a UCC 1AD because you don't have additional debtors. You don't have additional leasees. Is what you have is you do a UCC 3, and you, in your nominal person's name, come in as the original nominal landlord / leaseor, doing an assignment to, like, the Social Security Administration as a sub-leasee. You give them the assignment. They take that assignment and go to the Secretary of the Interior, who is the leasee, but now he becomes a sub-leaseor. And the Social Security Administration is the sub-leasee. The same thing would work for the Department of Transportation or any other appropriate entity that you have got, like a voter registration, your certificate of title to your vehicle, your certificate of title to your house, the bank. The bank would be, you've assigned, given them an assignment. So they are a sub-leasee in the process, and they're going and writing bonds by way of the Federal Reserve Bank against your assets. So they become the sub-leasee, and the Secretary of the Treasury for that house is now the sub-leaseor. The U.S. trustees are the Office of Alienated Property. The U.S. leasees, justice agent, just exchangement agents. Therefore, if you go in under notice to principal is notice to agent, and notice to agent is notice to principal, and you send this to the U.S. trustee, you have just now given your notice to the Secretary of the Interior as the alienated property custodian. And is what you're going to be primarily doing is you're going to be doing a landlord's notice of tenancy at will to terminate all leases and appropriate the directory trust. So you can look up the word directory trust. We know that these are corporations, okay? And basically, there's two different ways to set up a corporation. One is by a charter given by a sovereign. The second method is by a constitution set up by the board of directors, the we the people. Therefore, you are a board of director when you come of age. Over the corporation, and basically a board of director has powers out here to represent the corporate body and conducting business of the corporation. As a director, you are an agent or executive representative of a corporation. You're not an employee. You are a director. You have to give directions. Corporate directors act as a board. This is as a unit in representing the corporation and transacting its business. But as individuals in the performance of some of their duties, such as inspecting corporate records. In Black's dictionary, directors are persons appointed or elected according to law, authorized to manage and direct the affairs of a corporation or company. The whole of the directors collectively form the board of directors. You are the prime office. You're not an office holder. You're a director. You're one of the boards of directors as an elector. When you come of age, you are now an elector, a director elector, because that's according to law. You don't have to be appointed by the president or anybody else. You are elected according to law, according to the bylaws of the corporation, the constitution of this corporation. And see, there's just a small difference between a charter and a constitution in a corporation. Like I said, one is done by a sovereign, the other is done by a group of people. And you can even set up a private corporation, but to set up that private corporation, you have to have a board of directors. It can be one or more. And you don't have to have a charter on file as a private corporation. Only a public corporation has to have a registered charter accessing permission from the sovereign United States government. Then you have a charter. That is a private organization. You would set up a constitution for your corporation. There's two different classifications in a directory statute. Statutes can either be mandatory or directory. You can look that up. A directory trust, whereby the terms of a trust, the fund is directed to be vested in a particular manner till the period arrives at which it is to be appropriated. This is called a directory trust. And it is distinguished from a discretionary trust in which the trustee has a discretion to manage as to the management of the funds. But you've been out here directing your trust how you want your trust vested all along. You just didn't know it. Because you were doing assignments, giving the directions in those assignments to these other parties, and they became the subleasees. You'll find all this stuff in the dictionary, okay? Yeah, you go into sublease and basically second paragraph in Valentine's, where the sublease is for the whole term, in it is in law an assignment as between the original leaseor and the subleasee, but may be given an effect as a contract as between the subleaseor and the subleasee. Why don't you see the contract? Because the contract is not between you. You gave the assignment. The contract is between the Secretary of the Interior and the Social Security Administration or the Department of Transportation.
Patrick, would you mind defining where that assignment was provided?
It is in sublease in Valentine's dictionary, second paragraph.
I'm talking about where is it that the living man such as you or I have provided that assignment?
Where did you provide the assignment?
Yes, sir.
You provided the assignment in your nominal person's name only, when you signed that Social Security card, when you signed that driver's license, when you signed that certificate of title to the vehicle. You did an assignment. You turned in your assignment, didn't you?
Not voluntarily.
Unknowingly, you did.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay? You did it voluntarily.
Yeah.
No one held a damn gun to your head when you did it. So don't say it was not voluntary.
Well, they take your truck.
No, it was simply it was an ignorance.
Yes. Stupidity, we'll say. Let's call it what it is.
Can't we do a rescission of signature?
I'm giving you the answer if you'd listen. Okay? I said that we will go to the to the U.S. trustee and do a notice of an object, notice to principal, notice to agent, and notice to agent, notice to principal. The object is the landlord's notice of tenancy at will to terminate all leases and appropriate the directory trust. Now, I did a tenancy at will termination a year ago, but it was wrong. I sent it into the Secretary of State for the state of Iowa. I sent it to the wrong place. I've done a lot of the right things, but basically I've sent them to the wrong place. By UCC 1, to where I had lease E, or less E, less or, filed in Wisconsin. It was done pretty much right, except I sent it to the wrong place. I put down the Secretary of the State of Iowa as the lease E, leasee. When it's the Secretary of the Interior, alienated property custodian, as the principal leasee. And then, like I said, the U.S. trustee is a U.S. leasee's justice agent. He's the just exchangement agent for the alien property custodian. In the Office of Alienated Property. Because that's really what the office, or the U.S. trustee, he is under the Department of Justice, and that's where the Office of Alien Property is. I think I addressed that on the last call.
Right.
And then we come in and we have the right to appropriate our directory trust. In the Enron fiasco, okay? One of the key things was, basically, most of the money went to that president. Now, if the money would have gone to the board of directors, there probably wouldn't have been a court case. But the profits, the vast majority of the profits, are supposed to go to the board of directors. And in our case, in the government, it's we the people. But if we don't step forward and claim our compensation as a board member, guess what? All the employees and basically everybody, the president gets to fly around on $1 million air flights for nothing. Setting up all these different vacation homes. Writing those things off as compensation. Because we, as the board of directors, are not doing our damn job and controlling the damn president of this Enron governmental corporation. Yeah, that FBI guy might have said something right in that audio. But basically he was missing the big point in the process, and that judge and everything else didn't tell you everything that needed to go on.
Right.
He didn't address the board of directors being pissed off because they didn't get their just compensation out of the deal. And the local shareholders, they still got royally screwed over in the process. But I'll tell you, the board of directors, they got theirs. You just didn't hear about it. You never hear about the real side of the story. You hear only what is put out to the news media. Oh, yeah, we're protecting the general public. Bullshit. How about what's going on for the board of directors? We're all board of directors. The public is the board of directors when you wake up and act like a board member. Otherwise, you're putting yourself into the other side of the looking glass as one of the citizens of the land of Oz or one of the munchkins in the outer perimeter of the land of Oz. Just going along for the ride. Being a slave at heart. You just didn't know that you were being controlled in that regard. You didn't know you could step through the looking glass and go out into the real world and take and appropriate your assets out of your directory trust and go do what you want to do. Yeah, so you do a landlord's notice of tenancy at will to terminate all leases and appropriate the directory trust. You send this into, and you could do this by certified mail or registered mail, even possibly by fax, directly to your local district, federal district, U.S. trustee. Now you've notified the agent. Now it is the responsibility of the agent to notify the principal.
So we're doing that instead of being a bailor. We're still being a bailor, but we're just being more active.
You're coming in the right capacity now as the leasee, leaseor, okay? You can put bailor behind that too, but basically the prime thing is you are a lessee, a lessor scenario. Not leasee, lessor. L-E-S-S-O-R, and basically you're coming in your nominal person's name only. He's got a last name, but he only has a name. That's all. He doesn't have any substance. Look up what nominal says. Right. And nominal person. Okay. I'm still working on this document. I've been working on it for about 3 days, trying to go through it. Taking everything that I've done in the past and trying to pull it together here. But we are one of the We the People board of directors over the corporation, standing over the American national and state corporations and their office of honor, trust, and profit employees. So we put this notice in, and now, basically, this, and you can find this is in the 600 legal forms, tenancy at will. Notice of tenancy at will. And I did one a year ago. And I know it was posted upon the group.
All the forms are posted in the e-concurrent backup.
You can give that link later on in the audio so other people can hear it.
Okay.
Go ahead and give it right now.
Well, if they just go to the file sections of e-concurrent, it'll be...
Tell them where the link is, what it's called. E-concurrent, okay, how you spell it.
E-concurrent, E-C-O-N-C-U-R-R-E-N-T .com/divine/.
It's a backslash, right?
No, when you're doing it on the browser, it's a front slash.
/ okay?
Yes, right.
Yeah, address which one it is then, okay?
Right.
And then it's
the
divine,
backslash,
okay?
right.
And then the files are under that folder.
Right. It's probably in a directory. I'll find the exact directory it's in and post it on the Skype group.
And I'll be posting a new one up because the one that I sent out before was addressed to the Secretary of State. I had the right understanding there a year ago, but I was going to the wrong place. The UCC ones that we were doing, we did mess them up by doing the UCC 1ADs. We should have been doing UCC 3s, assignments, because the driver's license is an assignment. The certificate of title to your vehicle is an assignment. Your voter registration card is an assignment.
Yeah, we're turning all that stuff over.
No, we are assigning them, the state of whatever, to be a sub-leasee of our assets.
Right.
So that they can go out and, like for the voter registration, they can go out and write in Congress, can write bills. Now they have assets to write the bills that they're to fund the bills that they're writing in Congress.
Okay.
They need assets out there so that they can write the bonds to fund the bills. You got to understand how the monetary system works here. And we're the only ones that have any real substance.
But those are hidden contracts, like contracts of adhesions. Those are, I mean, we're not aware.
Don't argue the subject matter. It's you did an assignment. The contract is not yours. The contract becomes between the Secretary of the Interior and the state of Iowa or the state of New Hampshire or the Social Security Administration.
But it's not a valid contract because
it is a valid contract because you gave an assignment.
You didn't know what you was given, so that was not a valid contract.
You were supposed to know the law. You didn't even know you were a board of director. But you gave a direction, an assignment. See, you are the fourth and the superior office of government in this country. We the people. You don't know who you are. That's your problem. You're standing on the other side of a looking glass trying to get to the other side, but you don't know how to get back. You got to be like Alice, pinch yourself and wake up.
That's exactly what I'm doing, waking up.
Okay. And I'm trying to help you. Because I got big pinchers. I got a big bark, too. No teeth, but bark. Gruff, you might say. I'm a gruffer. And I'm in here for the long haul. I'm going to bring this thing down one way or another. I ain't giving up. Now, whether you guys want to follow along with me, that's your prerogative. If I think that I'm getting too out of line, basically, well, that's it. It's your choice.
Yeah,
so I'm going to fight this thing to the end.
I'm here.
Yeah, you're giving us a really good head start because we wouldn't have even been on first base without you, Patrick.
Yeah, and like I said, it's all in the dictionary, okay? All of this.
You have to dig it out.
You're not going to find it in Ballantyne's and Black's. You've got to check out these other dictionaries out here, like Ballantyne's, like Anderson's, like a Oxford Universal Dictionary for the different definitions of the word. And then, and see, I flunked English I don't know how many times in school. Still got some of my report cards that have my F's on there. But, and that's why, in some regards, I messed up, like last week, with those documents. I was using alien as a noun, and it was supposed to be used as a verb. It clearly states it in Ballantyne's dictionary, the very last sentence under alien, as a verb. Alien means alienated.
So, Patrick, this is Bill in New Hampshire. The documents then that I delivered to the court were then inaccurate based on your description?
Yeah, they're not going to do anything, okay? It's a good notice. We gave them notice. They know that we're coming. Okay? But we're not going to go after the court. We go after the U.S. trustee. He's the agent. He's the justice agent or the Office of Alien Property. So he's an agent for the custodian of our alienated properties out here that are being held as directory trust.
Yeah, it so happens I delivered the document or copies thereof to the trustee, the federal trustee, after delivering them to the court.
Okay, well, you're going to do this other one when I get it finished writing up, and I'll try and hopefully have this new write-up over to Tom so he can post it tomorrow.
Good.
Okay, sometime.
Excellent.
Okay, and then you can send a fax in and basically send it up certified mail or something like that to where you get a receipt, restricted delivery processing on that, on the green card. You can do a restricted delivery on a certified mail. You don't need to do registered, okay? Or you can do the overnight if you got a few extra money to get it overnight. And you on the overnight mailing, I think you have capability of restricted delivery on it too, to where you force that, or should, that U.S. trustee should sign for it. Now, to substantiate the proof of this, the U.S. trustee doesn't only sit in bankruptcy courts. The U.S. trustee will be in federal courts also. Why? Because he is there to be called upon as the Office of Alien Properties to help make the just settlements. The only reason that people go to jail out here, unless they have caused direct physical harm, like manslaughter or something like that, murder, okay, they have done a chargeable item that can be set off or discharged. And you have to use the U.S. trustee to do the discharging of that charge. That's simple. But if you don't do that, then you are held in contempt of court and you go to jail on a contempt of court. Because you didn't direct the set-off.
What does OSC? OSB. What is OSB? The Office of the Superintendent of Bankruptcy. That's who, if you want, like, to put a complaint against the trustee, you would contact them. OSB, Office of the Superintendent.
You don't have a right to put a complaint against the U.S. trustee yet because you haven't utilized the U.S. trustee properly yet. So don't try and injure somebody if you haven't done your job properly.
I'm talking about as far as what under there's certain codes.
Forget the codes, okay? We're the director. The codes are not for the directors of the corporation. The codes are for the employees of the corporation. But if you don't do your job as directing the employees properly, you can't utilize any of these codes against them. Follow me? Everybody wants to fight and basically go after these guys, but who is to blame? You are. Because you didn't know what the shit you were doing.
I'm talking
now,
about.
I'm trying to tell you what the shit to do, so do it. You start doing your job right, and maybe these guys will give you the respect and honor that you are entitled to. You ever thought about that?
I just wanted some clarity on who the U.S. trustee is again. Is that the Secretary of the Interior?
No. The U.S. trustee is basically a officer of the Justice Department.
Okay.
And you can go into u.s.trustees under the Justice Department, and there is one trustee in every federal district.
Right.
If not more than one.
They have assistants, right?
Yeah. They have assistant trustees that are there, but that U.S. trustee is basically also the Office of Alien Properties.
Okay.
He is the settlement agent in the process. Because he is in the Department of Justice, and the Department of Justice is nothing more than just exchangement. Think about it.
I'm looking at the website right now, Department of Justice, U.S. Trustee Program.
Yes.
Okay. I mean,
There should be a
right
link
there.
to all. There should be a link to all the local U.S. trustees.
Right on.
How many trustees are in your district, Patrick? Do you recall?
There's one that basically I know of. Okay, I know the main guy. I don't know how many agents he has working for him.
You're in Iowa, right?
Right.
Okay, I see Daniel M. McDermott. I see Janet G.I. Reasoner. I see James I. Snyder. Do those sound correct?
Yeah, Snyder is basically the one for the Southern District of Iowa.
Okay,
Nice.
Great. And so I've got the link to the website. Where can I put this so people can access it?
Well, basically
people
they
can
should
just
be able to access it pretty easy. I mean, all they have to do is go into the Justice Department.
Actually,
Yeah,
I found it real easy by just Googling U.S. Trustee 6th District. And
Yeah,
Google
you can almost go right to the link page doing that.
Right.
Hey, Patrick, something real quick. I'm in Washington State, right? But I was born in Pennsylvania. Do I need to go through Pennsylvania?
No.
Okay.
You go to, see, even in bankruptcy court, they tell you, okay, to utilize the bankruptcy court, you have to be in that district 160 or 180 days.
Right.
So after you've been there, basically now you are declared a permanent resident in that district, Now you utilize the representatives or the agents that are in that district.
Because I'm a Washingtonian now. Okay?
Yeah. Even though, and see, if the Secretary of the Interior is holding your assets, not the state of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. And I'm actually looking at something right now on the Secretary of the Interior, and it says clear as day, upholds trust responsibilities.
Yeah, and basically also if you go into the Wikipedia link for it, basically it says Secretary of the Interior is the catch-all department.
Huh.
He catches all. Everything else that basically, and see, he started out, or the office started out, as a deputy secretary under the Secretary of the Treasury. And I brought that out, that is addressed in the 5th Congress, Session 2, Chapter 49. That basically, if you were a debtor, you went to, and the court didn't help you set it off because you didn't give the proper directions in the court, then you turned directly to the Secretary of the Treasury to come to your aid, because there was never supposed to be any debtor prisons in this country. You can't put the directors of the corporation in jail.
Says it clear as day in the Constitution.
Yeah. But the only reason, like I said, the only reason why the directors go into jail is because they did not issue the directive orders that they were supposed to, and they got into contempt. So the only reason they're in jail is because of contempt of court. You didn't issue the settlement. You're coming in there to make the settlement in all court cases. That's one of the key things you say. I am directing the settlement of this. And basically, I'm directing the U.S. prosecutor, the county prosecutor, whoever, because the county prosecutors and the county attorneys, they all work for the state Justice Department. So they're agents of the state Office of Alien Properties. Now you give your directive, and basically now they have to follow it. And see, that is mandatory by statute. Like I said, there was in a directory statute, there are two different types. One is mandatory, the other is directory. You're basically, when you give this directive, okay, directive, not directory, but directive, it's a mandatory directive. That prosecutor or that, and see, the prosecutor is coming in because in any court action, all court actions can only be handled in nominal person names. Name only, no substance. So the state of Iowa in a court case has no substance. You didn't know that. And then the prosecutor, he's just sitting there waiting for you to give the directive to make the settlement. All your bills that you have, you can send them directly to that U.S. trustee. Who is the bankrupt in this country?
They are.
The U.S.
The corporations are, not the directors of the corporations. We are like the bankers that set up the Federal Reserve Bank. They had to put, say, $25,000 or something like that on deposit. Well, we placed our assets on deposit. But they were only supposed to be on deposit for a certain period of time until we came in and appropriated them away from them. See, we were trying to claim them and everything else using those words. The correct word is to appropriate it. Unless you use the words properly and basically have the proper understanding and use them as a vowel, verb, or noun in the proper connotation, you're going to mess up. And you're going to get an F on your grade, just like I did numerous times in school. And I'm still flunking every now and then. But I'm going to get this shit down, and I will graduate yet.
Patrick, well, do we need to apply federal rules of procedure during this process? The reason why I asked, I was just curious about that, because I know they talk about real parties of interest and things like that.
No, stay away from all that. You're coming in as the director.
Right. And none of that stuff applies to me anyway because it's unconstitutional.
Yeah, you're one of the weed of people on the board of directors. See, the Constitution had to been set up by a board of directors. That is the marching orders for the corporation. There is no charter because there is no sovereign in this country. There's no king. So the government could not be set up under a charter. It's under a constitution. So if it was set up under a constitution, it had to be under a board of directors. And the board of directors were we the people. We the people, the board of directors of this corporation, hereby issue these corporate bylaws. See, there's 4 branches in any corporation out here. In all corporations. You have to have a board of directors. You can go and talk to Hillary Clinton about that. She sat on, I don't know how many, as a board of director out there getting kickbacks just by being on their board. Not that she ever put anything at risk into them, but she got kickbacks basically as being a board of director because she knew how the corporate structure works. And see, that's what the people here, all these people have gone out and done, what the hell is it? Those damn UCCs or EINs for corporations and different things like that. But you never did them right. And if you did do them right, you sure didn't learn anything to make a comparison between what you just did and what the Constitution of this country is all about. Just like in the movie, Now You See Me. The closer you look, the less you see. You've got to back up and look at it from the broad view. You've got to have peripheral vision out here. I hope that's given you guys some better insight into what needs to be looked at.
Right.
So in order for us to do assignments, we have to have our initial UCC1 in, right?
No.
And okay.
No.
Okay.
UCC1. What is a UCC1 all about?
It's a notice.
No, it isn't.
Or are you talking about the lien itself? The lien?
Yes.
Part of
it's
it?
a claiming lien.
Right.
It's a commercial lien.
Right.
And see, that's what, in some regards, we put commercial liens on some of these offices, and that has basically kept them at bay from us, because even though we did it wrong, it still ended up being a commercial lien against somebody or against an office. And see, right now you have a dummy director out there. A person, although nominally a director of a corporation, is merely a figurehead and discharges no duties. A person to whom a share of stock in a corporation is transferred in order to qualify him as a director. Your director, your nominal director or dummy director, can't do anything. You as the living are the one that have to come in and give the directions in his name. You have to supply the substance to your dummy. Trying to think of the name of the dummies that basically they had back in the 60s there on television.
Ventriloquists.
Yeah. Well, ventriloquist, yeah. That's Charlie McCarthy.
Right.
Was one of them. And see, they were trying to show us things there too. You got dummy, but the living has to control the dummy. All except for some of these new movies, and basically then the dummies are controlling the people.
So it's still okay to be doing this, be part of the greater United States and the greater state of and all that.
Yes, if you've got that in, it's not gonna harm you, okay? No harm, no foul.
Right.
Okay? But you want to score the 3-point shot the next time, and the 3-pointer to win the game is this notice of tenancy notice of tenancy at will and appropriation.
Or direct them to do the set-off.
Or appropriation. Basically, we're ordering the termination of the leases.
Yeah.
Okay? Terminating all leases because of age, we have fulfilled all of our initial obligations, and we're going to pull our assets away from them by appropriating our assets and going and playing in our own sandbox, our private sandbox.
And the private bank, estate, and trust and all that, we
won't need any of that because that's all all those EINs out there.
Internal.
Set those completely aside, okay?
Right. It's all internal, like you said.
It's all basically in the internal system on the other side of the looking glass.
Right.
When you come out, you're going to be operating in the real world. You're going to be back in the land of Kansas. You're going to be operating in black and white, not in a Technicolor.
Well, we certainly learned a lot last week. I listened. I thought that that May 13 was excellent. I listened to it probably 10 or 12 times. Day and night.
Hopefully this one's even better. Hopefully I'm getting better at this shit.
Yep. You really crammed the detail under this one.
Yeah, I'm looking at appropriation right now. It definitely tells you what you're doing. You're taking your money and setting it apart. And it's they have the Supreme Court ruling on it. It's beautiful.
Right. But it is fully substantiated by one of the other definitions out there in a directory trust. Directory trust, whereby the terms of a trust, the fund, is directed to be vested in a particular manner. And you have directed it to be vested in a particular manner by doing bank loans as an assignment, by doing a driver's license as an assignment. You have been given all the directive assignments to vest your assets in a particular manner. It says, till the period arrives at which it is to be appropriated, and that should have been at the age of 25, because you were supposed to be freed at that point in time, a freed man or woman. You were supposed to break your bonds of shackles that basically have held you down in your apprentice and journeymanship of gaining knowledge and understanding. See, when you turned 21, you just became a journey director. You weren't a master yet. At the age of 25, you become a freed man or a master director. All these words sort of come into play here when you really look at all this shit. And then appropriate, to take to oneself, to the exclusion of all others, to set apart for a use in exclusion of all others. So you take your assets and now you can use them as your heart desires. But don't use them against the country. They will come after you.
It's interesting that you can't even become a mob too. That's interesting.
You can't become a what?
In Section 2, Article 1 of the Constitution, it says the House of Representatives shall be composed of members choose from every second year, but they can't do it until they achieve the age of 25, which is the age in what you're talking about.
Yeah, see, it's right in the bylaws of the corporation. To represent someone, you have to be freed. It's not written in there in that way, but that's what it's referring to. Because you cannot represent another person unless you are not under any bondage. all these people that are in office out here, in the Senate and in the Congress, they're under bondage. So are they going to give proper representation to the people that they're supposed to be representing? No. Because the banker or whoever has the bond over them will pull the string, and basically they have to go that way. I mean, how easy is it to figure this out? And then most of them in, especially under the United States of America Constitution, it says you can't run for a consecutive office. You have to sit out one term because you cannot be an inhabitant of the office and run for the office at the same time. You can't be an inhabitant of that state. That means you can't be the governor of the state and run for the Senate. You either have to quit being the governor, and then you can turn around and run for the Senate. Do people read what is in these documents? No. And then the people, the board of directors out here, don't hold them to the bylaws of the Constitution, of the corporate bylaws.
You started to tell us about all corporations have to have 4 things, and you said a board of directors, and then you went off on
the board of directors, basically a operating department, an enforcement department, and a exchangement department.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, so what do you have? You've executive, you've got the legislative, and you've got the
executive, yeah.
Legislative, or the judicial branch of government.
Board of directors is like the legislature.
No, the board of directors is we the people.
Right, okay.
See, that's the part of the corporation that nobody recognizes.
Yeah, because our weak education system.
The board of directors can shut down any corporation out here.
Yeah.
And have already done it, too.
They're normally the ones that have funded the operation of the corporation to begin with. So when they pull their assets away from the corporation, and see, all corporations have to zero their books at the end of the year. All corporations, even the United States of America Corporation, even the state of whatever corporation, they have to zero their books because they're a corporation. I've addressed a lot of the things about a corporation. I just never addressed the board of directors there the way I should have addressed it before. Your prime directory trust is your certificate of live birth, your trust patent, registered trust patent. So it's a registered directory trust. Does everybody understand that?
Yes, I do.
Okay, any questions? Open up for questions now.
So you're saying that's like your prime account that you need to know or have to get to do the directive.
To do the tenancy at will,
Yeah.
or your tenancy at will notification to the U.S. Trustee and the Secretary of the Interior to terminate the leases. All leases are attached back to this main document, this main asset that's being held in the Treasury. And then when you read the definition about appropriate, you're appropriating it from the Treasury. Don't just look at the word appropriate, go to appropriation.
Right.
Go to, when I give you a word, go to all the words that basically form around that one word.
Right, they're like derivatives of the word.
Yes. They'll all tell you a little different process of it. Sometimes they may apply, sometimes they may not.
Right.
But look at them. That's the only way you're going to get the full knowledge and understanding to try and protect yourself when and if you ever do come out. So that you try and prevent yourself from going back in to the looking glass or down the rabbit hole, however you want to look at it. I guess Alice in Wonderland went down the rabbit hole, and Alice in the Looking Glass, she went through the mirror. And there was a third one, and I forget which one that one was, the title of that one. But there was 3 items out there that guy wrote. And like I said, most everything that is key appears in 3s.
So like I can do my tenancy at will, get all the way out, but I should direct them to do the set off and pay for my truck impound.
You got to go in and order the settlement of that with that county prosecutor, right, and basically hold him accountable in the process. You give him the directive. And it's a mandatory action upon his behalf that he has to do it. You will turn around and take him into court and throw him into jail for being a bad employee. Now, as a board member, you can do that. But as a public nitwit out here, you can't do that. One that does know what the shit they are.
Right.
Hey, Patrick, quick question.
Yeah.
Being as though the Constitution is a trust, basically like a contract, is it necessary that we sign it, or is that some way done when we do
it's not a trust. Okay, it's not a contract.
Okay.
It is a constitution. It is the bylaws of the corporation, for-profit corporation. It's already been established. We're just a new board member.
I think I'm speaking, well, the preamble. I know you've already heard of all of this stuff. You know, I'm the youngster here, so I'm just trying to learn. So the whole preamble being the trust, you know, and all of that, don't pay attention to that? Is that what you're saying?
It's not a trust.
Okay.
It's a corporation by a set of bylaws.
The bylaws
all that our founding fathers did was set up a corporation. They didn't set up a trust. Now the Treasury is holding entrustment as an entrustment for we the people until we come in, appropriate our assets, or we call upon an appropriation from the Treasury as a board member.
Gotcha. I'll definitely be paying attention to Hillary a little more.
Yeah. But see, everybody thinks that everything is operating by trust. No, this isn't. That's the misnomer that basically has gotten so many people into trouble. You've got to think this as basically strictly as a corporation for profit. And all of these items out here, they're either a foreign corporation for profit or they're a governmental corporation for profit. And basically, to find that in the Constitution, right there where it says office of profit, and then you go and look up what that definition of office of profit is in the dictionary and say, well, basically, if this is an office of profit, then this must be a corporation of profit. Because if it's not a corporation of profit, how is that office of profit going to get paid a salary? There's got to be a profit there somewhere.
Yes, definitely. It makes total sense. I mean, just based on my own understanding that, you know, we've always been getting a profit. That's why they try to say it was income, because we were always getting profit.
We're supposed to be getting profit, but we haven't been getting our profits. And in a lot of cases, they've been out here profiteering against our assets. And that is grounds right there. See, the Social Security Administration was profiteering on my assets. I started and stopped after 2 payments of my retirement from the Social Security. Well, I thought that basically they would stop writing the bonds. Did they? No.
Right.
They basically continue to write those monthly items against the assets that are out there under their subleasing contract with the Secretary of the Interior as the subleasor. They owe me roughly about 40-some months of payments. And they're playing dog and pony show right now. Well, we can't get these to you right now. It's probably going to be 45 days before we get this to you. Well, that's total bullshit. They could close those bonds down, and they can make the adjustment. And like I told one guy in there in the Social Security Administration, I said, you are a corporation for profit, and a foreign corporation at that. Oh, no. I said, and then when I read this email that I had from 2013 that this one guy addressed this fact, okay? And he was basically the instigation that I read what he, and he stated right in there, it's in the Constitution that it's a for-profit. And it says office of honor, trust, and profit. Right there, it proves that the United States Corporation and the state of Iowa Corporation, they're for-profits because they can tax, they can write bonds, they have to make a profit.
That's what capitalism is all about, right?
Yeah. But we let them, and then we haven't been coming in and getting our dividends, our compensation as a board of director at the end of the year. We just turn around and put more money into the coffer. Like good little nitwits that we are. Because we didn't know we're just a munchkin, and they're munching the hell out of our ass, our back pocket. Of course, it more falls into line like the Moby Dick scenario of 1851 to where they're whaling at us, slowly cutting us away. That's how you kill a whale. You just cut away at him. Harpooning them doesn't kill a whale. In fact, the whale is still alive when they cut it loose after they cut all the blubber away. Okay, any other questions?
No, I really enjoyed listening to you tonight. It's really getting good.
Well, I'll get off here so you guys can go and listen to us again.
Okay.
Okay, good night.
Thanks,
Okay,
Patrick.
thanks, Patrick.
Appreciate you, man.
Okay, bye.
Right.
Yes, and for guys, the 600 legal forms and guides, they are in the econcurrent.com/divine/files/28 puts in calls. And inside that directory is a directory, 600 legal forms and guides, and then within that directory is all the forms. And I posted that link up on the Skype group. Okay?
All right, thanks, Tom.
All right, thanks, man.